Good morning to everybody here at Astor Place and to all of those on the overflow floors down below, as well as those on live stream joining us from across IBM and outside in the outside world. So thank you for getting up and joining us this morning. We appreciate it. To get us started this morning, I'd like to introduce IBM's President, CEO, and Chairman, Ginny Rometty.
A huge group to welcome Watson. And I hope you noticed, well, you might not have noticed, but when Mike was introduced, that was the voice of Watson. Am I the only one that knows his voice that well? I'd like you to just keep thinking about this analogy, this idea that data really could be the world's next natural resource. I've said it many times, but when you think back on what's happened almost every century, if you think back to steam in the 18th century, it opened up industrialization. You go to the 19th century, and it was electricity. That is what was kind of the motivation for modern day cities. And ironically, or coincidentally, the very first power station Edison ever had is about 2 miles away from here. Hydrocarbons of the 20th century, that's what gave all of us the mobility that we now just take for granted. And then this 21st century, the chapter's not yet written on what data will do. But I do believe it's going to have an impact that may even be greater than everything you've seen before, for one simple reason. I think today we walk by many solvable problems in the world. Diagnosing something proper is one of those things. And we walk by them because you don't know the right answer at exactly the right moment. And with cognitive, there's a hope to take all that information and exactly the right moment have input on a decision to be made. And it's this idea that once you know, you won't be able to unknow, and we are all going to be more compelled to act. And whether that's on the biggest problems of the world or what we need to do our job better. So this new cognitive era, very symbolically, it has got a new address. Obviously, you're here, 51 Astor Place. It's a new address in New York City. But don't let it be lost on you. This is the heart of Silicon Alley. It is the heart of the financial center. This is the heart of the business center, medical center, and now, everyone, it is the heart of the information center. And people will not only experience cognitive here, this is an incubator for lots of entrepreneurs. And on one of the floors, you'll see a design lab on how to write user interfaces in this day and age. And I think something you probably haven't really recognized is we keep transforming IBM. We've also become the world's largest digital agency, as measured by Ad Age. You'll see part of that out of our whole network of digital agencies. You'll see that on one of the floors below. So,
thank you, Ginny. I think we all agree this is an important day in the storied history of a brilliant corporation. And I'd like you to stay on stage with me for just a moment, right? So that we'd like to share something. Good morning, Watson. Why don't you join us on stage?
Hello, Watson here. What are we working on today?
Watson got up early this morning. It read all of today's news and learned about its new neighborhood. And it's now ready to answer our questions. So Watson, what can you tell me about our new headquarters building?
IBM Watson Group headquarters is now located at 51 Astor Place in the heart of Silicon Alley. It opens today.
I hadn't heard this yet.
Yeah. That's fantastic. All right, let's all welcome Watson to his new home. Thank you, Jenny. Ambition from the very beginning was thinking about how we could open up Watson and make its capabilities available to the world. We recognized that as an enterprise B2B company that we needed help. We needed to open that platform up to partners, an ecosystem of partners that would help build new businesses, leveraging the capabilities of our platform and imagining things that we could never come up with on our own. So what I'd like to do now is invite Steve Gold up and a panel of our partners to talk about the amazing innovations that they've already done at the very beginning of what I think is going to be a very long partnership and journey. Steve?
I'm thrilled to be able to join you today. And as Mike was said, we're going to share with you, I think, another chapter, another dimension in the Watson story. You heard from our clients this morning in a very compelling way how Watson will take form across industries, from healthcare to education and beyond. Our partners are going to take us in a different dimension. It was about a year ago that really we did something that was unprecedented. We took one of IBM's greatest innovation in its 100-year history, and we opened it up to the world. We recognize it was through their eyes, their creativity, their innovation, that they would take us to new places, things that we hadn't thought about, or things that we had thought about that just couldn't get to for an extended period of time. It is amazing in a matter of months, 10 months to be exact, how we've gone from 3 to over 100 partners that have applications. The first wave of those partners have announced their in-market application this week. So with me today, I'd like to invite our distinguished panel of partners to talk to you a little bit about their journey and the solutions that they have developed. Please join me on stage. Gentlemen, good morning. It's a pleasure. Thank you. So Amir Hussain from Spark Cognition, our CEO, and Anand Mahurkar from Findability, CEO, Dan Mortimer, CEO of Red Ant, Salih Sadat from Genie MD, and Cherry Jones from Wayblazer. So I couldn't imagine a more diverse group as I look across this from an industry point of view. But as I think about that, there's a common theme. And that theme is, how do we use information to transform, to change the outcomes, to alter people's experiences as they work with the various organizations that you empower, that you represent. And it's how do we use that information to get to better decisions, to better outcomes. So what I'd like to do is a little bit of a speed lightning round here and just talk a little bit about each of your respective businesses, your industries, and what you're doing. And so let's on. So very interesting area. Again, something that hadn't really been considered or conceived when we first started Watson. So in January, we really announced 3 industries: retail, travel, and healthcare. You're a nonprofit, right? So all of us have had an opportunity to open our checkbooks, write out to a good cause. Where do you fit into that?
I think, Steve, Ginny said this morning very well that there were many problems on this earth which we always walked by because we couldn't solve it. Those were very important. And we chose particularly the social impact or not-for-profit as a vertical because cognitive computing can really come to help the $2 trillion expenditure. We never think about that. So if you see why we are doing this, because I know 100% of the people in this room or 90% of the Americans give at least once in their lifetime to some cause. But only 26% people come back again for that cause. And it's a huge gap. And therefore, that cause for humanity, for support to this world, it really becomes difficult. So we are now saying that can we measure impact using Watson? And the answer is yes. So we developed an application called Impact Management and Analytics, whereby Watson takes both internal content and external content and can give very natural language question answers because it's a very emotional. Why do I donate for a cancer research? Because somebody in my family had a cancer. So that really is going to help us to Watson.
So with the application, will I as an individual, the audience, be able to understand how their money is being spent and what percent of that money is actually going to the cause?
Absolutely, and that's what we call it as impact. And we really believe that in coming maybe next few months, most of the foundations, corporate social responsibilities, and charities will adopt this product and really start giving us better service and do better good in the world.
That's fantastic. So, Terry, we have a very interesting situation. Terry's not only announcing a product this week, he's actually announcing a company this week. Now, some of you may be familiar with Terry. Terry was the founder of Travelocity, and I, for one, say thank you. He was also the chairman of Kayak. And so twice, Terry, you've disrupted travel. You disrupted it once with search. You disrupted it the second time, the first time with e-commerce, the second time with search and with mobility. You're here today announcing Wayblazer, a travel company. Is this the triple play?
Well, we hope so.
First, I want to thank our panelists. It's interesting, as we went through and discussed each of the various applications, we've been talking about innovation, we've been talking about creativity, we've been talking about harnessing the entrepreneurial talent of a community. But what strikes me here today, we're also talking about validation. These are actual technologies that are being deployed in security, in nonprofit, in retail, in healthcare, and in travel, and much more to come. So, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, terrific. So as we bring our